Ladies and gentlemen, success is not accidental, it's not random, it's not the result of luck or just good timing. Success is predictable. Why? Because it follows a formula. And if you understand the formula and apply it, success becomes inevitable. Clarity brings focus and direction. Know what you want and where you're going. Most people are not failing in life because they lack talent, opportunity, or potential. They are failing because they are unclear. When your mind is cluttered, your actions become scattered. Clarity is the internal compass that points you toward your true destination. Without it, you can be moving fast and still end up nowhere meaningful. But when you're clear, your life stops being random and starts being intentional. Clarity is more than a good idea, it's a requirement. You can't build what you haven't defined. You can't finish what you haven't started, and you won't start if you don't even know what you're aiming for. The mind functions like a GPS. It needs a destination before it can chart a route. Without a clear destination, even the most sophisticated systems are useless. That's how most people live, full of gifts but with no direction. You need to know what you want. Not what sounds good, not what other people want for you, not what culture or comparison convinces you to pursue, but what you truly want. What ignites your soul, what fuels your purpose, what aligns with the assignment on your life. Clarity comes when you quiet the noise and get honest about your deepest desire. Many people are exhausted not because they're lazy, but because they're running hard in the wrong direction. When you're unclear, you're easily distracted. Every opportunity looks good. Every opinion matters. Every detour feels justified. But when you're clear, your yes becomes powerful and your no becomes non-negotiable. You no longer waste energy on things that don't serve your vision. You no longer chase validation from people who don't even know where they're going. You begin to build a life that aligns, not just impressive. Clarity brings confidence. Uncertainty breeds hesitation, but clarity fuels boldness. You stop second-guessing yourself and start walking with certainty. Even when you face setbacks, you don't quit because you know where you're headed. A detour doesn't derail you, it just becomes a different route to the same destination. That's the power of knowing. People may doubt you, but when you're clear, their doubt can't stop your direction. Clarity also creates consistency. You can't be consistent in confusion. One day you're working on this, the next you're chasing that. Your energy is divided, and divided energy can't produce multiplied results. But when you're locked in, when your focus is sharpened by clarity, you build momentum. You don't need more motivation. You need more direction. Motivation without clarity is hype. Clarity without action is wasted potential. But clarity paired with action creates transformation. Getting clear starts with asking the right questions. What am I called to do? Who am I called to serve? What problem am I equipped to solve? What kind of life do I want to live? These questions expose the fog and pull your focus into alignment. Don't be afraid of the answers. The truth will set you free, but only if you're bold enough to face it. You don't need to have the full picture, but you do need a clear enough view to take the next step. Success doesn't come to those who are busy. It comes to those who are clear. A clear mind makes strong decisions. A clear heart fuels aligned action. A clear vision inspires disciplined living. So if you're stuck, start with clarity. Clarity is the key that unlocks focus. It's the fuel that ignites movement. It's the starting point of every significant breakthrough. The clearer you are about where you're going, the faster you'll get there, and the less likely you are to be detoured by distractions, delays, or doubts. Belief sets the ceiling of your results. Upgrade your mindset to unlock your life. Every outcome you experience in life is rooted in what you believe about yourself, your potential, and what's possible for you. Belief is not just a mental concept. It is the foundation of action, the trigger of motion, and the ceiling of achievement. You will never outperform your mindset. You cannot live a life beyond the limits of your belief. If you want to change your life, you must first change what you believe is available, accessible, and achievable for you. The human mind is incredibly powerful. It responds not to facts, but to perception. What you believe to be true becomes true for you, not because the external world changes, but because your internal world dictates how you see, interpret, and respond to the world around you. Your belief system is like a thermostat. It sets the temperature of your life. You may desire more, you may even work harder, but if your belief is set to average, you'll unconsciously self-sabotage when you start to rise above it. People don't struggle because they lack capacity. They struggle because they've been conditioned to believe in limitation. Limiting beliefs are invisible walls. They don't exist physically, but they trap you mentally. You believe you're not smart enough, qualified enough, gifted enough, or worthy enough, and so you never fully engage. You hesitate, procrastinate, and overthink. You shrink your goals to match your belief instead of expanding your belief to meet your calling. But here's the truth. Belief is a choice. It's not something you wait for. It's something you build. You build it by aligning your words with where you're going, not where you've been. You build it by rehearsing truth louder than you replay trauma. You build it by feeding your faith and starving your fear. You build it by surrounding yourself with people who see your future, not just your history. When you upgrade your mindset, you upgrade your life. That's not hype, it's a law. A growth mindset sees every failure as feedback, not finality. It sees obstacles as opportunities. It doesn't say, can I? It says, how can I? This shift in thinking transforms the way you move. You begin to operate with confidence. You take bolder action. You stop asking for permission and start owning your potential. The moment you believe you're capable is the moment you start living like it. Belief also determines your resilience. Life will throw setbacks your way. There will be delays, denials, and detours. But when your belief is strong, you don't collapse under pressure. You rise through it. You interpret adversity differently. You stop seeing it as a sign to quit and start seeing it as a test to prove what you believe. Belief turns trials into training. It empowers you to keep going when quitting would be easier. And let's be clear, this isn't about blind optimism or fake positivity. It's about deeply rooted certainty, a conviction that you were created with purpose, or that your life has value, your gifts have meaning, and your future is not a matter of luck, but of alignment. This kind of belief creates movement. It unlocks creativity. It births new levels of courage. You stop waiting to feel ready and start deciding to be ready. The mind is your battlefield, and belief is your weapon. It's not enough to desire a better life. You must believe you're capable of living one. Because until you change what you believe is possible, you will keep repeating cycles that reflect your past, not your potential. So ask yourself, what have I accepted as normal that isn't serving me? What beliefs are keeping me small? What would change if I believed bigger? Because the ceiling you're under is often the one you've placed above yourself. The moment you break that ceiling, your results will rise to meet your new belief. Discipline produces consistency. Show up daily, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is the bridge between your desire and your destiny. It's the daily decision to do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. It's what separates wishful thinking from real transformation. Anyone can be motivated for a moment. Anyone can start strong when emotions are high. But it's discipline that sustains you when the hype dies down and the feelings fade. Feelings are fleeting, but discipline is foundational. If you only move when you're motivated, you'll spend most of your life stuck. Motivation is like the wind. It can push you forward, but it can't carry you the distance. Discipline is the engine. It keeps you moving when the excitement wears off. It gets you out of bed when you'd rather sleep in. It keeps your commitments when quitting seems easier. Success is not about intensity. It's about consistency. And consistency is birthed in discipline. The truth is, life doesn't care about your feelings. Results don't respond to emotions. They respond to effort. And consistent effort over time is what compounds into greatness. Talent might get you in the door, but discipline is what keeps you in the room. Many people have potential, but few have the discipline to turn that potential into performance. Discipline is the difference maker. Discipline creates trust within yourself. Every time you keep a commitment, even when it's inconvenient, you build internal credibility. You start to believe in your own ability to follow through. And that belief is priceless. It becomes the foundation of confidence. You no longer rely on external validation because you know who you are. You're someone who shows up. Success doesn't require perfection, but it does demand consistency. And you can't be consistent without discipline. It's not about massive action one day and nothing the next. It's about steady, intentional movement forward. It's about showing up when it's boring, when it's slow, when nobody's watching, and when the results are still invisible. Discipline teaches you to work in the dark so you can shine in the light. Discipline also helps you manage distraction. In a world full of noise, it's easy to get pulled in 1,000 directions. But discipline creates focus. It teaches you to say no to what's urgent so you can say yes to what's important. It aligns your actions with your purpose. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. You become proactive, intentional, and strategic. There will always be a reason not to show up. You'll always have an excuse available. But discipline refuses to negotiate with weakness. It doesn't care how hard it feels, it does what's necessary. And the more you practice it, the stronger it gets. Discipline is a muscle. The more you use it, the easier it becomes to keep going, even on the hard days. You don't have to be the most gifted. You don't have to have the best background. You just have to be the one who keeps showing up every single day. When it's exciting and when it's exhausting, when it's clear and when it's confusing, you show up and you grow up. The future you want is hiding in your daily discipline, not in your dreams, not in your goals, but in your habit. Every time you choose discipline, you're investing in the version of you that you say you want to become. Discipline gives structure to your vision. It gives power to your purpose. And ultimately, it produces the kind of life that motivation alone could never deliver. Value creation drives wealth. Solve real problems, and people will reward you. Wealth doesn't just show up because you work hard. It doesn't arrive simply because you want it. Wealth flows to value, and value is created when you solve real problems for real people in a real way. The world doesn't pay you for your time. It pays you for the impact you create with your time. If you want to increase your income, stop asking how you can get more, and start asking how you can give more value. Money is not the root of wealth. Value, and the people who understand this principle never have to chase money, because money starts chasing them. That's because when you solve problems, you become indispensable. You stop being a cost, and you start being an investment. Whether you're a business owner, an employee, a creative, or a student, your earning potential is directly tied to your ability to identify pain points and bring solutions. The economy rewards contribution. It responds to usefulness. The more problems you solve, the more doors open for you. It's that simple. But most people are taught to focus on effort instead of effectiveness. They think if they just work harder, longer, or faster, they'll succeed. But hard work alone won't make you rich. Value creation will. You could dig a hole for 12 hours and still be broke if no one needs that hole. The effort is real, but the value is missing. So the question is, what problem do you solve? If you can't answer that, you'll always struggle financially. Your gifts, your knowledge, your experiences, they are tools meant to serve someone else. When you align what you have with what the world needs, you create value. And the market will always reward valuable people. Not always immediately, but consistently over time. The wealthiest people are not necessarily the most educated or even the most talented. They're the most valuable. They look for problems that others ignore. They lean into complexity and chaos because they understand that hidden in every frustration is an opportunity. They don't run from difficulty, they run toward it, knowing that the bigger the problem, the bigger the potential payoff. Value isn't about perfection, it's about relevance. If your solution meets someone's need, you've created value. That could be through education, service, innovation, convenience, or experience. It could be through emotional impact
or physical results. The form doesn't matter as much as the function. If it solves the problem, it matters. Too many people are waiting to be discovered, waiting for recognition, waiting for luck to kick in. But you don't need luck, you need leverage. And value gives you that leverage. It elevates your position, attracts attention, and earns trust. When people experience real results because of what you offer, they talk about it, come back for more, and bring others with them. Even in tough economies, value still gets rewarded. People might cut back on wants, but they never stop spending on need. If you position yourself as a solution to a need, whether that's helping businesses grow, helping people feel better, or saving them time, you stay in demand. You're not just competing on price anymore. You're operating on purpose. Value creation isn't just about business. It's about impact. It's about legacy. When you live a life centered on solving problems and serving people, wealth becomes a byproduct of your purpose. You no longer chase it. It finds you in the process of fulfilling your assignment. So don't focus on getting rich. Focus on getting better at solving problems. Because money flows in the direction of value, and the people who create the most value never stay broke for long. Faith fuels bold action. Move even when you can't see the full picture. There comes a point in every journey where logic runs out and vision must take over. That point is where faith begins. Faith is not passive belief. It is activated trust. It is the decision to move forward, to take the step, to build, to pursue, to speak, even when you don't have all the answers. It's the conviction that what's ahead is worth walking toward, even if the path isn't fully revealed. Too many people are waiting for clarity before they act, but clarity often comes after movement, not before it. Faith doesn't ask for full visibility. It demands obedience in the unknown. It dares you to trust that if the next step is all you have, then the next step is enough. It challenges you to act, not because the conditions are perfect, but because the calling is clear. Bold action in the face of uncertainty is the evidence of real faith. When you require guarantees before you move, you're not walking by faith. You're walking by comfort. Faith is uncomfortable. It stretches you. It pulls you into unfamiliar territory. It forces you to rely on something greater than your own understanding. And that's the point. You were never meant to navigate your purpose with your mind alone. Faith is the compass that guides you when the map doesn't make sense. The truth is, many people don't miss their destiny because they lacked opportunity. They missed it because they refused to move without certainty. They were waiting for the whole staircase before taking the first step. But greatness is rarely obvious at the beginning. Most breakthrough stories started with confusion, fear, or lack. Yet somewhere in the middle of that, someone chose to move. Someone said yes. Someone acted in faith. Faith gives you the courage to begin when the outcome is unknown. It tells you that even if it doesn't go as planned, you'll grow in the process. That kind of faith is what makes bold action possible. It silences the voices of fear and doubt long enough for you to do what you've been called to do. Fear will always try to convince you to wait. Faith tells you to move now. You don't have to have it all figured out. In fact, you never will. But what you do need is belief. Belief that your step matters, that your obedience counts, that your movement is not wasted. Faith reframes how you see risk. What the world calls risky, faith calls reasonable. Not because the facts change, but because your focus does. You stop looking at what could go wrong and start expecting what could go right. Faith multiplies your capacity. It doesn't remove the need for preparation, but it pushes you beyond the limitations of your logic. It empowers you to dream bigger, act sooner, and stay longer. You stop relying on your own strength and start tapping into something eternal. And when you move with that kind of confidence, doors open, provision shows up, people notice, and progress begins. Every major shift in life starts with a moment of faith. The decision to start the business, leave the job, write the book, launch the idea, say yes to the calling, all of it hinges on faith. Not the absence of fear, but the presence of trust. Faith doesn't promise ease, but it always produces growth. So when the next step isn't clear, when the money doesn't add up, when the support is missing, when the timing feels wrong. Move anyway. Move with faith. Move with boldness. Move like you're already backed by something bigger than you. Because the full picture may not be visible, but the next step is take it. That's where the breakthrough begins. Speed creates momentum. Act decisively, and the universe responds quickly. One of the greatest enemies of progress is hesitation. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to move. The moment inspiration hits, action must follow, because if it doesn't, doubt will. Speed is not about being reckless, it's about being responsive. It's about understanding that hesitation kills opportunities, while decisive movement creates momentum. When you move quickly, on clarity, you tell life you're serious. You communicate to the universe, to your purpose, and to yourself that you are ready to receive what you've been asking for. Momentum is a powerful force. Once it starts working for you, it can move things you thought were immovable. But momentum is only built through motion, consistent, intentional, fast-paced action. You don't gain momentum by sitting still, overthinking every step, or waiting for the conditions to be perfect. You gain it by moving, even if it's messy. Momentum doesn't require perfection. It requires pursuit. Speed eliminates friction. When you act quickly, you bypass the mental resistance that creeps in when you delay. Every time you pause too long, you give fear a louder voice. You allow your mind to create stories about what could go wrong. But when you move swiftly, you don't give fear time to grow. You silence hesitation with execution. You prove to yourself that motion is more powerful than doubt. Decisiveness is a skill, and speed is its companion. The most successful people in the world are not always the smartest, the most experienced, or the most prepared. They are the fastest to decide and the quickest to act. They understand that time is a non-renewable resource. Every day you wait is a day you'll never get back. Every opportunity delayed is a possible breakthrough missed. The faster you move, the faster you learn, adjust, grow, and win. Waiting often feels wise, but more often it's rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being ready. But readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. You become ready by moving. You become equipped by doing. Speed isn't about rushing, it's about refusing to let fear and indecision steal your momentum. Life rewards urgency. It honors the one who acts with conviction, not just intention. The universe responds to movement. When you start taking action, doors start opening. People begin to notice. Resources start to align. Things that seemed impossible start shifting in your favor. Not because you waited, but because you moved. Speed sends a signal to the world that you believe in your vision, and that belief becomes magnetic. It attracts favor, opportunity, and acceleration. Slow movement leads to stale energy. Procrastination invites paralysis. The longer you take to decide, the harder it becomes to act. On the other hand, when you develop the habit of rapid execution, you begin to trust your instincts. You build a pattern of progress. You stop debating and start dominating. That's how momentum builds. One small, fast action at a time, consistently. The greatest shifts in your life won't happen because you had the perfect plan. They'll happen because you took immediate action on the imperfect one. Speed doesn't require that you have all the answers. It just requires that you start, that you move, that you don't let doubt win. The more quickly you act, the more aligned your life becomes with the opportunities around you. So when you feel the nudge, take the step. When the door cracks open, walk through it. Don't let waiting become your default. Make speed your standard, because while others are still deciding, you'll already be delivering. And in that space of bold, fast action, momentum is born. Momentum that moves mountains. Momentum that shifts your entire trajectory. Momentum that only starts when you do.